So, this is my response to the series of questions on tobacco. So, to answer the first question, despite all the evidence, I think that the cigarette smoking and tobacco products are still a leading cause of illness, disability, and death because of a multitude of reasons, besides the media influences of big tobacco. I'd attribute its continued popularity to peer and familial pressure, desire for rebellion, and accessibility. Firstly, over 12% of Americans and 19% of the world smoke. When you have a 10 to 20% chance of a given family or peer group exposing a person to a behavior, it normalizes it and can induce people to try it. Most smokers begin in their impressionable years, and nearly all have begun before age 26. This suggests the influence can often begin young, and when a habit begins early, it becomes harder to kick in the adult years. Secondly, the penchant for young people to rebel is a familiar one, and smoking has a history of being associated with cool, interesting, and rebellious characters. As smoking becomes increasingly stigmatized by society, accessing it becomes a way to be different and mature, while often breaking parental rules. And this can lead to habitual smoking as well. And finally, I believe the habit is still so prevalent because the components are so easily acquirable and the habit is still accepted. In some parts of the world, attitudes are also quite lax regarding cigarettes. Regular smoking breaks and having a cigarette with tea or coffee, such as in France, are quite normalized. I'm here in Ireland right now, and it's extremely common to see people walking down the street or hanging out with their children, very small children, still smoking. In Austria, also as an example, children as young as 16 can legally purchase tobacco. The USA has legally protected smoke breaks itself, and up until 2019, the US age to smoke was 18. Now it's 21, but these are still very impressionable ages. People younger than that can also easily acquire cigarettes from friends and family, because even though it may be illegal, bumming cigarettes and passing them around doesn't have the criminal legal stigma that other drugs do. It causes feel-good changes without intoxication, and acute overdose is very difficult, and so it isn't quite as tightly regulated. All these factors lead to normalization, continued use, and perhaps perceived lack of harm of tobacco products. In response to question 2, smoking is a not necessary and not sufficient cause, also known as a contributory cause. It's not necessary to smoke to induce the disease smoking can cause, like COPD, bronchitis, or lung cancers especially, as these can arise through other means. Neither is it sufficient to smoke to acquire these diseases, because there are portions of the population who smoke and do not acquire the disease state. Therefore, it does not meet either criteria. And in response to question 3, I would say that exposure to asbestos resulting in mesothelioma follows a similar not necessary or sufficient cause relationship like that of smoking. Exposure to asbestos is linked to mesothelioma, but there are causes of mesothelioma with no known asbestos exposure, so it's not necessary. And there are definitely individuals who are exposed to asbestos that do not contract mesothelioma. So I believe that they have a similar principle. They're both not necessary, not sufficient causes of these diseases that they are associated with. Thank you.